It is far better to be prolific than perfect. Better prolific than perfect. One of the main reasons why you might not be succeeding at the level you could be is because you're too busy trying to be perfect. You're too busy trying to make it look good. You're too busy worried about what other people think. I love this quote. It came from Brendon Burchard, but he basically said that the reason you're not creating as much, and by the way, we live in a world of creation. You're not creating as much, or you're not moving towards your goals because you're too busy worried about looking good to other people. Take, for example, getting in shape. A lot of people don't get in shape because they're too afraid to go to the gym out of shape. They're too afraid to go to the gym and be fat and then get in shape. And so they'd rather not look bad in the process. And so they don't try anything. It's like if you wanted to start a blog, a lot of people don't start the blog because they're too afraid of what their friends will think when they're a beginner. You got to be fine to look bad as a beginner. You got to look at it, whatever you start, you're going to start terrible. And so the reason you're not succeeding is because you're not being prolific. You're too busy trying to be perfect. You want to look like you've got it all figured out before you have it figured out. And by the way, here's the actual reality. No one has it figured out. You only figure out the next step by doing it. Better prolific than perfect. And so my question for you is, why are you so worried about what other people think of you? Why are you afraid to be an amateur? Why are you afraid to start small? Why are you afraid to look dumb? Whatever you start, you're gonna look terrible. I remember when I first started blogging online, I started throwing out my blog posts and I was nervous. I was worried about what my old high school friends would think about me, or what my cousins or my in-laws would think about me posting these blog posts. Then I just got to the point where I didn't really care. And I was able to publish hundreds of blog posts over time, and I would just train myself. I trained myself to focus on volume, because if you do a high volume of work, eventually it becomes quality. There's a really great concept called the gap by Ira Glass. But Ira Glass talks about how when you start anything, you're going to see the gap between the quality of your work and where you want it to be. The reason you started doing work in general, whatever it is because you had good taste. You saw that there was something good out there, but you can see in the beginning that there's this gap between the quality of your work and the level of taste that you have. Whatever that is, if you're a musician, an artist, an entrepreneur, creating products, whatever it is you do, you can see the gap between high quality and what you're doing. And a lot of people, they never make it through that gap because they give up. The only way to get out of that gap is to do an extremely high volume of work. You do a huge amount of work. You give yourself a deadline. You produce, and the volume turns quantity into quality. But the only way to do that is to be fine creating bad stuff in the beginning. Fine looking bad. Fine having typos. I trained myself when I was first blogging. I would just push publish as soon as I was done writing it, and then I would fix the typos after it was published, because that was the forcing function for me. I didn't want to wait until it was perfect to push publish. I pushed publish and it was dirty. And I'd get comments all the time on my blog posts. Dude, don't you know how to spell? At least I had it published and you read it. So better prolific than perfect. Be fine looking bad in the beginning. Be fine being an amateur. If you're not willing to be an amateur, you can never be a pro. And so be fine being imperfect. You're never going to produce perfect work. It's never going to look great. If you're too busy or too worried about it looking good to others or looking like you know what you're going to do, then it's obvious you don't know what you're going to do. It's messy. Life is messy. Think about Elon Musk. Think about how messy it's been for him to get to this point. How many rockets failed in order for him to get to the point where he's at. You got to be fine doing things messy. You got to be fine moving forward and figuring things out as they go. You got to be fine making mistakes. You got to be fine looking dumb to others. You got to be fine failing. The key here is your course and your trajectory and your momentum. It doesn't matter where you currently are. Your current self does not matter as much as your future self. But what matters is your future self. What matters is the direction you're going, and what matters is the momentum you have. But what matters is your trajectory. So it's okay if you're not there yet. In fact, you shouldn't be there yet. Your current self isn't there. I love the quote from Dr. Daniel Gilbert. He says, human beings are works in progress that mistakenly think they're finished. That's a fixed mindset. You think you're finished. You think that who you are today is who you're always going to be. No, it's better to follow the counsel of Alain de Botton, the British philosopher. He said, if you're not embarrassed by who you were 12 months ago, you weren't learning enough. So hopefully the work you're doing right now is embarrassing to your future self. And hopefully you've been working and producing so much that the work you were producing a year ago is embarrassing to your current self. Be fine being embarrassed. Be fine looking bad to others. Be fine being an amateur. If you're not, you'll never be a pro. My name is Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Down below, you can get access to my free 30-day Future Self course filled with science to help you imagine and create your future self. It's totally free. It'll change your life. Have an amazing day.